Welcome back to Critical Mass, the show that criticizes the critics. With the overwhelming success of Aquaman and Venom, it seems possible that some comic book films might be going in a certain direction. A direction with extra cheese. But is this a good idea? Well, let's just get into it. Is it time to bring back campy comic book films? Now, let me be clear. I enjoyed Aquaman, and I am not necessarily saying that cheesy films are bad, but let's just clarify what we mean by campy or cheesy. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines campy as being in the style of camp, absurdly exaggerated, artificial, or affected in a usually humorous way. And while you could make the argument that superheroes in general fit this definition, I think we can see a very distinct difference between early obviously campy movies versus some of the ones we get in the modern era. Like with the Adam West Batman movie and how over the top and silly it is in comparison to Chris Nolan's Batman trilogy. These early tones are very different, and when we look at two recent smash hit films, we can see a little bit of this coming back. While not dating as far back as Adam West, some said that Venom felt more like an early 2000s comic book movie in tone, which I do think is fair to say because it does feel more similar to films like the Thomas Jane Punisher or Hellboy or even League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Again, not saying that is bad, just saying that I sense a certain similarity in the feel. And also, I am aware that there were more serious superhero movies that came out around that time too. But now let's take a look at Aquaman, which was a very big shift in tone from Man of Steel and BVS, which was definitely a welcome change of pace for those who thought that the DCEU was far too serious and were hoping for a lighter tone. Now, what's interesting to me is that the MCU, for the most part, has a fairly even feel throughout their films, and it's not at all surprising that outside companies like Warner Brothers and Sony are looking to adopt the strategies of offering something different than you could get with their competitor. Both companies have previously produced more serious entries than you would normally find in the MCU, like BVS and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, but in the time since, both have seemingly gone in the opposite direction to rebound their franchises. Well, yes, Venom is still a dark film, it's also a little campy in nature, and Aquaman has also done a great job of invoking an over-the-top execution and combining it with modern sensibilities. But ultimately, the question is this the right direction to take? Yes, and also no. For me, the important thing to realize here is that things aren't black and white. A movie isn't just campy or serious, there are plenty of degrees in between, and I think the right tone must be chosen for the right property. Also, I applaud companies for trying something different, and personally, I prefer campy comic book films as opposed to super dark and serious ones. And I would like to stress that there is no reason why we can't have a wide variety of superhero films. This will remind everyone that comic books are a source material and not a genre. Plus, I also know that there will always be those who long for the cheesiness of the Silver Age to be put into film, so I'm glad that they can get what they want. However, for me personally, I will always prefer comic book films that people say are good movies and not just good for comic book movies. So if I had to pick only one direction for comic book films to go into, campy definitely wouldn't be it. But in the end, while it may not be my preferred tone, I can still enjoy a movie that takes that direction, and I'm still glad that it exists. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments. If you want to see more superhero movies take a cheesy direction, and also don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, Dave knows.